Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Ol'SargeCollects. So today I'm doing a VR for John 3D80's kid, and he's asking us to share our obsessions within the hobby. Through doing this, I learned that I actually do have quite a few obsessions. I'm going to tell you, it's difficult for me to share what I obsess over the most, but honestly, what I obsess over the most is the evolution of my collection. I'm always and constantly thinking about what's the next phase of my collection. And there's a couple of different goals that I have with my collection. So I used to want to collect anything and everything I could get my hands on. And then that evolved into having a as minimal of a collection as I possibly could. The fewer cards, the better. But ones that really meant a lot to me. So ones that were more eye appealing, ones that I enjoyed looking at and never grew tired of. And I'm going to give you an example of this. So I used to be a player run collector. I wanted every single Stan Musial card. I wanted every single Mickey Mantle or Ted Williams card. At one point in time, I actually had every single Nolan Ryan card. I had every single Stan Musial card. I had tons of different players that I had their entire mainstream card runs of. Then I switched gears in my collection, and I started going towards a more minimalistic viewpoint of just having higher quality or rarer cards to pick up, and ones that were more eye appealing in that regard. So, I started collecting cards like this, which is the 1955 Rawlings hand cut Stan Musial cards, and I think there's 5 or 6 cards in this set, all of varying sizes, because these all came from a box. They were on a box that a baseball glove was sold in, and kids would cut out the cards and they would keep them in their collections. These weren't meant to be kept. The box was meant to be thrown away, and so there aren't that many of these around. And so I really love cards that fit into that category. They're rare. They're not as common. And so this is an obsession for me. Anytime I'm on a channel that shows cards similar to this, or cards that fit into that category, guys like John Mangini, his collection is chock full of these cards. They're not that common, and I'm drawn to them. They're more eye appealing too for some reason. So here's just a handful of cards that fit into that category. This is a 1901 Will's Cigarettes Sports of All Nation card, and great set. I have the entire set. Love this set. This is my favorite card in the set. You just don't see a lot of them on YouTube. Same thing with this, the 1910 Old Mill Cigarettes. You're going to find Shoeless Joe Jackson's rookie card in this set. And so this leads me to a second obsession. And there are 2 cards in this set of players with the last name Brooks. My last name is Brooks, and I'm obsessed with collecting cards of people that are named Brooks, whether it's their first name or surname. I want the player. I want that card with the player named Brooks. So, still going along with the same lines of you don't see it that often. Here's OBAC card. You don't see a lot of OBAC cards on YouTube. And so I really love OBAC cards. This is a Benjamin Hunt, and if you look up his story, he's got a really, really neat story. So kind of the original Nomad from back in the day. And here is 1925 Turf Cigarettes, and this is of Sport Records. Great set in and of itself, but this one is of baseball, and so it talks about records that were never made. So, for example, this talks about George Sisler, but it also talks about a statue that was never built and a record that a stat that he never achieved. So here's one. This is a card that predates the sinking of the Titanic. This is a 1909-1911 Cadbury Chocolates card. Largest steamers in the world is the set, and this is of the Olympic and Titanic. It predates the 1912 sinking of Titanic, and it's the only card that does that. And here's the back of the card. So just an oddball, really cool card that's not common. It's just rare. and that's something I'm obsessed over. Again, here's a Manco card from 1948. You don't see a lot of these. Here's the back. Here's a card from a set of cards that I have, the 1945 to 46 Kellogg's. I believe these were produced in Canada, but really love the images on these 1940s baseball cards, which this is a multi-sport and multi-subject set. So you're going to see everything from military cards, sport cards, you'll see hockey cards, football, basketball, you'll see all the different sports. I just happen to collect all of the baseball related ones. Here's a card you don't see very often, another Canadian set. This is the 1940s Cracker Jack Sports, and this is card number 34 of baseball. Now, what's interesting about this set is that it shows a card from, the history of the sport. So it'll say yesterday and today. So it'll show, what yesterday of the sport looked like and what today looks like. And you can see that on the back. It says sport yesterday and today. All right. And the way you look this set up, look up Lowney. That's one of the key terms in searching for this set. All right. Here's something you really never see on YouTube. And that's 1936 United Tobacco. And this is a South African tobacco set. And this is Sports and Pastimes in South Africa, which is the set name. And this is of baseball. Really neat image from the 1930s. How many times have you seen this on YouTube? And it's just one of those oddball cards that is not common. And so I'm really, really drawn to these cards. I'm obsessed over these. Last thing I'm going to show you with this first obsession is this 1934 R&J Hill sports set. And this is of baseball. This card happens to be of Tris Speaker. And really love the image on this card. It's a photograph card. I don't know who that is running. They're running away from the camera. But here's the baseline. So just an interesting image. And here's the back of the card. All right, so this sums up my first obsession, which is the oddball cards that you don't always see on YouTube. I'm just going to give an example of what I'm talking about here. How many times do you see a 1957 or 1958 copy of a Hall of Famer? Whether that's Hank Aaron or Willie Mays or Mickey Mantle, something like that. Roberto Clemente. How common is it to see these cards versus all the cards that I just showed you here? These cards are more rare. These cards are not often seen. They're more rare to see on YouTube as well. And that's what draws me to them. The artistic style of them, along with the rarity of them. So, all right, hold on, and I'm gonna bring up my next obsession. All right, welcome back. So my next obsession is cards that I relate to, or 1800s cards is another obsession. So that's a third obsession. I'm sharing two of these, or non-sports cards. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. This kind of hits two obsessions. So this is a 1950 Topps card of a flag of the Alamo. And in this set, you see a number of different flags that they share with like different countries and, things like that. So you'll see a flag from Brazil. You'll see a flag from, you'll see the United States flag. You'll see a Confederate flag, or you'll see, a flag from Sweden. So you see a lot of different flags. I'm from Texas originally, and, any Texan can't forget about the Alamo. And so this kind of relates to me in that regard. So that's one obsession, is I'm obsessed with cards that I relate to, from my home state or the state I currently live in, which is Louisiana, or just cards from my childhood that are nostalgic, things that I personally relate to. But this also, another obsession is oddball non-sport cards. So any kind of non-sport cards, kind of going back to that Titanic card that I shared with you, is a non-sport card, and I love non-sports cards. I love Allen and Ginter non-sports cards, 1800s sports cards. I love non-sport cards in general. Okay, so anything that I'm related to, whether it's Texas, Louisiana, whether it's a nostalgic card like you know from a movie that I love, or from a Garbage Pail Kid, something from my childhood that I remember that brings me back to another time. That's something I'm obsessed with. Okay, so that's two things. And then I love 1800s cards, 19th centuries cards. So this one actually fits two categories. Again, it's from a company called Clarence Brooks and Company, but it's an 1800s card. And this is a recent pickup of mine, but I really love 19th century cards. I love the imagery on them. I love the history and obsessed with the history of baseball. And so 19th century cards fit right into that category because it helps me learn about the history of baseball. So that's something I'm obsessed with as well. All right, and then hold on for my last thing that I'm obsessed with. Okay, welcome back. So there's two more things that I'm obsessed with, and so the first one that I'm obsessed with is SGC. I used to be a PSA slab collector. Any card that I picked up had to be in a PSA slab, and therefore it was convenient whenever I was selling off a lot of those player runs because they were all in PSA slabs and they sold, for more money, because PSA has a better resale value. However, I am now particular in SGC slabs. And I'm also, this is a 2-for-1, I'm also obsessed with 1930s cards. I love them. I love that era of baseball. But this card in particular, I really love the Diamond Stars set, and I've been doing the Diamond Stars series. This is my Hank Greenberg card from that set, and it's in a PSA slab. And if I wanted to convert this over to an SGC slab, it would get the grade of a 1 or a 1.5. And I'm not good with that because I know I can resell this card and get more for this card in the slab it's in, even with the grade that it has, even with the off-centered or the mark. I can get a better deal if I sold this card as is and then just pick up a SGC slab of the same card. And so I did that. This one's a whole lot better centered. The surface of it is much nicer. And if I want to upgrade the slab, it'll retain the same grade. So I'm obsessed with having everything look dress right dress. That comes from being in the military. Everything needs to look the same. And therefore, I want my collection, especially an entire set, when I've collected an entire set, I want it all to be in an SGC slab. And so it'd be different if I didn't collect the whole set. If I didn't collect the whole set, I really don't care if it's in a PSA slab or an SGC slab. But when I have the entire set, they all have to look the same way. And so I picked this card up so that all my cards in the set look dress right dress. Now the next thing is a pet peeve of mine, which leads itself to an obsession that I have. This card right here is a 1957 Topps card of Elmer Vallow. I picked up this card because I saw it on someone else's channel, and I absolutely love the image of this card. But what I don't like, what really, really irritates me, is the condition that this slab is in. If I'm a seller of baseball cards, I wouldn't want to sell somebody this card without getting it reholdered, because I take pride in what I do, and the way that this slab is scratched up and scuffed up and looks terrible, I wouldn't dream of selling someone this card, not in the condition that it's in. I'm very particular about my slabs and how they look, and the protection of those slabs. And so, this leads me to my next obsession. My next obsession is with finding a sleeve for every single slab or card holder that I have. So, for example, if the card is in a one touch, or if it's an SGC slab, or a PSA, or even if it's in a card saver or in a top loader, it has to have a sleeve. Okay, and so for that, I went with a company called Superior Fit Innovations, and here's their website, superiorfitsleeves.com. John Mangini, if you're actually watching this, this is the information you're looking for. And they have sleeves that fit damn near anything you're looking for. So if it's a rigid card saver 4, or if it's a SGC graded card, or a PSA, or a top loader, or a one-touch, they've pretty much got everything you're looking for. They even have fit sleeves for the card itself. So instead of putting the card in a penny sleeve, they actually have a really clear sleeve that has a tapered flap that secures to itself for the card itself. So you've got this really clear sleeve that can be dropped down into a top loader, and then that top loader can then have a sleeve. And to me, that's like ultimate protection for the card. So the only thing that Superior Fit Innovations is lacking is for a SGC graded postcard size. So that tall boy size slab from SGC. And for that, I went with Clear Bags. Clear Bags is a great company too. And if you get the 4 by 5/16 by 7.5 size, this is a perfect fit for those SGC larger slabs that fit postcards. So I believe, John, that's what you were showing on your channel was one of those size cards. This is what you would get for that. It fits them perfectly. Anyway, so that's my last obsession that I have, is of protecting my cards, how I store them, how I protect them. I am obsessed with this. I'm constantly buying new product to figure out what is the best way for me to store the cards, what is the best way for me to sleeve the cards, and really preserve the collection itself and the cards itself. So, all right, everybody, those are, I believe, like 5 or 6 things that I'm obsessed with. I wasn't counting, but I think that's what it is. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Keep hunting the good stuff, and y'all take care.